Hey everybody, how you doing? The Oakland bulk and oversized terminal case versus the City of Oakland started 10th of July. That was last week. This is now the 15th. We're 5 days in. Of those 5 days are weekends. What's it about? It's a continuation of the hostility between the two groups. The Oakland bulk and oversized terminal was created out of the answer to a proposal the City of Oakland issued in 2009 for a development project that would replace the jobs that were lost due to the closed West Oakland Army Base. A number of people, including the Wayans family of movie fame, had put in proposals from a movie studio to common warehouses. But Oakland developer Phil Tagami, who has been a friend of mine since 1991, we were introduced by David Glover, late David Glover, the Oakland Citizens Committee for Urban Renewal Executive Director at Oakland Sharing the Vision, had a different idea. And the idea was to build the long needed bulk terminal that was called for at first in the 1986. Yeah, that's how far back this goes, folks. The 1986 Bay Seaport Plan. Why? Because the bulk terminal gave and gives still, because we still don't have it, the Port of Oakland the best way and the most economical way of any port up and down the West Coast to handle throughput commodities, iron ore, and yes, coal, among those like sulfur or wood chips. I can name a number of examples. So the city accepted Phil's proposal. Phil was determined to do this in a way that didn't require a subsidy. Of all the commodities that were haulable, if you will, the one that had the best market output, according to a study that was released by Pat Cashman when he was representing the city of Oakland and the project manager for the Oakland bulk and oversized terminal, working with Phil Tagami, managing partner of California Capital Investment Group, issued called a study called the Tioga Report. Why Tioga? Because that's the consulting organization that wrote the study. It identified coal for the city of Oakland and for the Oakland bulk and oversized terminal. But it was a kind of a sneaky thing. Pat really had the study done to get a consultant. This is how the city of Oakland rolls, folks, to get a consultant to say, well, Phil's group isn't the right one to do the project, which would give the city leeway to essentially steal the idea and the development project from Phil Tagami. That was the idea. But it didn't work that way. Instead, Phil, smelling a rat, decided to take the report and literally turn it inside out by beefing up the people he was working with to actually build the bulk terminal and thereby push the city of Oakland's attempt to take the idea from him essentially out of the way. The city has a history of doing this, particularly to minority developers. Phil's Asian. Now, his first group included, among others, Kinder Morgan, the famed manufacturing organization and transportation firm. Phil specifically asked for covered rail cars to be used. Why? Because, well, they cover coal. Now, don't believe those who are in the media, the nonprofit media, who claim that covered rail cars don't exist and don't haul coal. Both are lies. They do. And I might add that the people who put that out there never actually worked for an organization to have to, order a covered rail car. And so they don't understand that these are a designer affair. In other words, these cars aren't, sitting there to be picked off the shelf. You call and you have a specification and a design need, and it's Phil. The trouble is that Kinder Morgan didn't want to do it the way Phil asked for. And so Phil, to make a long story there short, fired Kinder Morgan and found John Siegel and created the Insight Terminal Solutions ITS company. All right. That's how John got involved. And so John is a person who really is is a kind of a kaleidoscope. I think the best way to describe him is a cross between P.T. Barnum and Foghorn Leghorn and Henry Ford, all rolled into one. Now, he was determined, John was, to do this any way Phil wanted it done. So it was John that when it became obvious that hauling coal was going to be an enormous problem, and I'll say also, I begged again to have ITS as Zenny 62 Media client to get all of the right information out because there were documents in court that never somehow made it into the media. And so I begged for 6 months to get ITS as a client for Zenny 62 Media. And I was open about it then, open about it in the middle, open about it now. Now, the reason is that, again, because the media, including the nonprofit media I talked about, which gets involved in telling these stories, but actually is acting against the law because you can't use your 501c3 designation to get involved in political issues. All right. Well, they did. Partisan issues? No. But there are organizations that do that, including in the Bay Area, including in Oakland. Now, what happened was that John Siegel came up with a brilliant idea to use wood chips. And he had me write a new piece with and I was going to interview him about that. And but then just to get out the word, and I actually did. Wood chips. He had turned 180 degrees around away from coal. An amazing transformation. But he was willing to do it to get the project done. So at the end of the day, this had nothing to do with coal and now, and it's everything to do with the city of Oakland really doing a lot of dastardly things to the Oakland Oversized terminal people and personally to Phil to get them out of the way and off that lease. And that's why we find ourselves in this situation again. Now, I am not this time under anybody's contract. Actually, when I say I, representing Zenny 62 Media, we are Delaware C Corp, and I am CEO. None of my 11 bloggers are assigned to do anything. This is me talking about something that I believed in all the way back to when Phil got the contract. I'm also one of the people, one of the four instrumental in Phil getting his Rotunda contract because the city was treating him like crap. All right. He was a broker, had nothing other than his talent and wit, was owed $18 million by Randy Berger. Phil was loved by everybody. I could be told now that City of Oakland worker in the city manager's department so in love with Phil, she planted petunias in front of his house. Okay. When he was over there off Park. True story, folks. All right. Phil's a great guy. And so, but there are people who can't stand that. They can't stand these popularities or anything. And they really exhibit their own insecurities more than anything else. And that's just fact. That is just simple fact, folks. Phil's the latest in a long line of a number of Oaklanders who've tried to help the city, but who ran afoul of the city's own jealousy politics. So the city has done a number of things in terms of breaching contract with the Oakland Bulk and Oversized terminal, but in an effort to turn around and say, see, you didn't do this, and you're not tending to the leasehold, and therefore we have to replace you. That's fraud. That's what this is all about. It's not about coal. Now, yes, is there a gigantic market for coal? Yes, there is. What's my view about this situation? For 30 years, my view, actually longer than that, has been that technology can solve the emissions process, not pushing people out of jobs. The same technology that went into cutting automotive emissions, making electric vehicles better so that they can hold the battery charge longer, is the same technology that can allow minerals to be exported and processed in a way that emissions are not produced. That technology is there. And I don't want anyone telling me it isn't, as opposed to encouraging research and financing research that can prove it's done. The people out there on the no coal side have no interest in technology at all. They are dichotomies, all right? Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, okay? Left, right, left, right, okay? That, in point of fact, is not really how the world works. And so what happens is if you pay attention to this as an elected official today, Oakland didn't always operate this way. We had business people who understood business as council members and board of supervisors members, not too long ago. Now we have people who are more interested in saying that they're activists and don't know when to let it go when they serve as council members and board of supervisors or any elected position today. So solutions that could cut through the whole no coal argument and basically help everybody, including people suffering in the Western United States, are tossed aside or ignored. They never see the light of day. One of those solutions is the one that Phil has been trying to work on. He had an idea. I had an argument with former Oakland council member Nancy Nadell, who swore that covered rail cars didn't exist. This is a former council member. I proved to her that they did. This is right up in Facebook. I'm not saying anything that was private or conversation. She made it public. I was happy to make it even more public. I made a video about it, including her comments. The behavior of a number of these folks, normally quite good, I might add, Nancy Nadell makes excellent candies, is sad. It's very sad. They may feel such a target that it is not and has not been safe for Phil to be in Oakland most of the time. Yeah, they've literally physically chased him out of Oakland due to the threat of violence. Now, I'm not saying the city did that, but the city didn't do anything to protect him. I'm being really honest here, folks. And this is a project that will produce the right jobs and catalyze the production of more jobs like it around it. But also, remember, we're talking about a bulk terminal. It will open the port up to the efficient handling of a number of commodities that it cannot currently effectively take today. Oakland needs a bulk terminal. It is about that. It should be about that. All right. R.D. Moss writes, we're an energy rich country. China is lobbying to get us to use their technology instead of our assets, and we're falling for it. All right. But I just want to tell you that's what's going on. If you want to debate me on camera, please do. None of this stuff where you feel like you have to write something. That's cowardice. If you have something to say, come on my show. We'll debate the matter. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnowblog.com. Thank you.